Hello, friends. I know you want to listen to today's episode of Profoundish, but this time we're doing something a little different. Today, Weston, that's me, and Alex are hosting a very special episode of The Milk Club.
I always do try and have the clap in my mind because I can never hear it until I edit the episode later.
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this for a t-shirt. I always have the clap in my mind. Just out of context. Like, what?
Is that our first shirt, Profoundish shirt? I always have the clap in my mind, and there's just like a little P in the corner for Profoundish.
Just a little P in the corner.
There are some quotables that we could definitely put on shirts. Is it weirder than eating drywall? That's one of them.
Actually, I like that one. That would be a good. I don't know if that episode was was ever specifically more popular than any other episode, but that is just such a good. That is such a good soundbite from that episode. Everybody listening, check out the one about fetishes, kinks. What the? Can I live
just like
on air look up the title to that episode? I have no idea.
Should be able to.
Well, we have 60-odd episodes now, so I don't know. What did we call that one?
Type in Profoundish Addiction. Are you doing it on YouTube? What are you doing it on?
It's on Spotify. Oh, it is Obsessions. Ranking the Strangest Obsessions, Profoundish episode 29.
Okay, 29.
There you go. You all know what you're looking for
Episode
now.
29.
I just started scrolling through our whole list, and I'm like, it's in here somewhere. I don't know why we couldn't get it to pop up, but it's there. Episode 29.
Perfect. Now you know. Go there. But after this one, listen to this one first.
But anyway.
But yeah, so merch. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
That is what we were talking about. We need merch ideas. What do you guys want to see on a shirt? Obviously, we've got the logo. We can just slap the logo on like literally anything. But that's that's simple. Yeah. That's easy. Anybody could think of that. It's a no-brainer. What can we slap on a shirt? You know what I kind of want to get?
What can we slap on a?
I kind of want to get like some art done of like you and me, like I don't know, at a microphone or something like that. Like if we want to get like I don't know Gela or somebody on that. Like can we get some actual artwork of us for all of our pages? Because we've got the P, that is our logo. The Profoundish P is our logo. But I feel like we need some actual like art, some artwork done. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, actually. I completely agree. So, yeah, we should figure that out maybe pretty soon. I mean, we're in our new year of Profoundish episodes. I think it's time for that.
Yeah, we're in year 2. The first year was us figuring out what we're doing. Actually, I kind of feel like we took to Profoundish really quick. Like after just a week or two, we kind of had the idea what the format would be, and we felt our groove in a few weeks. Like we kind of figured that out. But our first year was a proof of concept that we could do it. We could do it for a whole year, every week, unstopped, success.
And we did.
And we did that. Now we're into year 2. We gotta get some art.
We do need the art. So if you're an artist and you're just thinking about it, hit us up. And
what do you think the art would be?
Weston?
Like you and me, like just as like murals of us with like a background of some kind. Like could we pick out like several episodes and have like little clues and hints or like Easter eggs to like previous episodes?
That'd be fun. That'd be super fun. We could be sitting in front of that table that's near your desk that has a bunch of crap on it. I remember that was a big early episode joke that we had.
That table's still there, and it's still full of crap.
We should there should be a pig on a flagpole.
Flagpole pig. It's funny that you say that.
That
I'll
needs
tell
to be
you
a
why
shirt.
that's funny later.
Oh.
It's funny that you
kinda
should
curious
say
now.
this. Well, then let's get into it, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first inaugural episode of The Milk Club.
What? The Milk Club?
Yes. A year-ish after we came up with several alternative podcast concepts, and we said that we would do little mini podcast episodes based around each one. A year later, we're coming back around to it. And the first one that we spoke of on that episode, that fateful episode a long time ago, was the Milk Club. It was actually your concept, Alex.
The Milk Club.
Indeed.
So, should we give a little context for where this came from? Like how we came up with the name, for example, or whatever?
Absolutely not. No, I'm just kidding. The context comes from episode 19. Speaking of episodes you should watch, episode 19.
Yes.
Wow. Titled Booger Balls. We talked about podcasts. Yeah, that's right.
Man, Weston, hold on a second. Are you sure that maybe are our best episodes behind us?
They absolutely are. That's why I'm reusing this content.
This is great. Okay, go on.
So over the course of the next forever, I will be going through each of these concepts.
Yes.
And we will be making them happen. And this one, I'm going to read you the description of Booger Balls, just because I think not enough people read our descriptions that you painstakingly write. Episode 19. Don't get dizzy. This podcast episode is about ... podcast. Alex and Weston discuss their favorite podcasts, and later on, play an improv game where they have to pitch podcast ideas to one another using random words given to them. Enjoy this episode of Profoundish. And your random words, I'm trying to find it. Hang on, where's it at?
So, while he's pulling that up, basically what we would do, and actually, we will be doing more episodes like this because these are super fun. It's like a good improv kind of game. We both show up with a bunch of separate lists of random words, in case you're not familiar with these episodes that we've done in the past. And then they're all labeled from 1 to 5. And then, for example, if it's Weston's turn, and we're making up podcasts based on these words that the other guy has written out. So usually, I think you pick 2 or 3 words. But all Weston will say is pick 1, 3, and 4, and then I'll read him my list of words that he doesn't know, 1, 3, and 4, and it'll be milk, club, and bacon, or whatever the 3 words are. Then he has to take 2 of those and make it into a podcast title. But the what we make or present is different each episode. This one happened to be like podcasts.
So what I found, this was so funny listening to you try to talk, and then I was just listening back to the episode to remember what the words were. So I was listening to you twice, and it was very disorienting.
I bet that was weird.
It was very weird. But yeah, your words were shark, milk, and club, and you had to come up with a podcast concept with that, and you came up with the Milk Club. And if you can all imagine what that is, it's a podcast about milk, dairy, and related news to that concept. So this is our first episode, maybe the only episode, but the first episode of the Milk Club.
Oh, I love this.
We need to go over our history with milk, Alex.
Oh my gosh, I think we should, yeah.
I think we need to describe to our lovely Milk Club specific audience what our history with milk is.
Yeah.
Were you a big milk drinker when you were a kid? Or even now?
I would say, where do we start?
I know you drink a lot of water now.
Yeah.
Do you drink milk now?
I drink 3 things, mainly 2, sometimes 3. I drink water, coffee, and beer. And mainly water and coffee these days. Milk is 0% in my life. Every once in a while, I'll drink a little bit of like nut milk, like almond milk or like stuff like that.
Almond milk is delicious.
But I don't really go for that. I usually just use that if something calls for milk and it doesn't really need to be like milk. But even that's rare. I don't really use it that much. Point is, when I was a kid, though, to answer your first question, as a kid, oh my God, milk. I loved it. I drank it all the time, drink it with everything. You know, like you'd pour your bowl of cereal and you'd drink the milk after and all good stuff. Not anymore, though. What about you?
I'm very much the same way. I don't drink milk at all anymore. I just don't go out and buy it. But as a kid, all the time. Like, we went through so much milk. as a family, we would go through like a gallon of milk a day. The four of us, my brother, my parents, and I, we'd go through like a gallon of milk a day. We drank so much for every meal, often more than one glass. And I don't know how much ounces of milk is in a glass or whatever, but more than a glass of milk every day, or every meal rather.
So here's a question. Growing up, in your family, were you like a 2% family? Were you a whole milk family? 1% even, maybe? I'm curious.
We were a 2% family. I think my dad might have grown up on 2% and whole milk. I think maybe he'd done both because he was more of like the heavier milk type of person. But we did go through a brief period of time. It was brief because I don't think the rest of the family could stand it any longer. I went through a brief period myself where I went through this like weird health kick. I don't know what I must have picked something up in class, like learned something at school and came back like, we should try 1% and skim milk or whatever. So like we bought like 1% and skim to like try, but it didn't stick. So we were a 2% family.
I'm actually very similar boat. We were always 2%. Now I will say though, to my knowledge, because we went from 2%, then we kind of did a similar thing. We went to, as a kid, it was, okay, that's the blue lid, 1%'s the pink lid. I don't remember what skim is. Is it red? Like I know it actually technically, I'm sure it changes maybe on the brand, but green or something. But anyway, I just remember like 1% was fine, but skim milk, it just like, no. If I'm going to drink milk, I'm going to drink milk. Now, I don't think I've ever drank whole milk, though. I think I've always just done 2% or 1%, really.
I think I've had them all. I don't remember what I thought of whole milk, because I don't think I had it very much. I think I had a little bit of it. What I remember is that between skim 1% and 2%, I didn't really mind it anyway. Like none of the skim didn't, like being used to 2%, skim didn't bother me at all personally. I know everyone always says it's like a lot more watery than 2%, but I don't feel like that ever bothered me. Whole milk, I don't actually remember. So either I didn't have very much of it, or it was too long ago that I just don't remember really myself. Because you'd think it'd be a lot heavier, because it's not like 3%. I think it's like a lot more, I think.
I do have this story, and I will never forget this. This was, I don't know, I was probably maybe 12 or 13 years old. And my mom and my sister... my sister at the time was very young and pretty much, and I was at an age, well, I mean, I guess I was about to kind of make up something because it's not true. I could have taken care of her because I have before. I was like 12 or 13. But my mom was going to be gone for a long period of time, like running errands all day. And my sister was young, so she went with her to run these errands. And I was at home alone. But all I remember is they came back from the grocery store at the end of their day of errands. And all I know is that they came in through the door, and somehow one thing led to another, and I think it could have been my sister, but I'm pretty sure it was my mom. And she had a gallon of milk in her hands and a bunch of grocery bags. And next thing she knew is that she slipped and fell on her butt, and like in the kitchen, so something slipped. The bags fell, and the milk, the gallon of milk, went flying into the ceiling and broke. Yeah. Like in the ceiling. So milk got everywhere. And for weeks, we were still finding milk spots on the ceiling. Like this kind of like glistening milk spots. Because it was so hard to clean it. It could be tall ceilings. That was a very dark and dreary day. But boy, was that a fun moment.
Did you guys cry over spilt milk?
Oh, oh my God. I was gonna say, I'm sure we cried anyway just because when we spent like $4 in that gallon of milk or whatever it was. It's all on the ceiling now.
I feel like it's some primo milk, because milk is usually like 3-something, right? Milk is usually 3-something-ish.
I have no idea.
I don't know what it would have been back then.
It's been so long.
But,
I want to give you an update really quick. I guess I was drinking milk in my early days of going to college. I remember when I had my roommates, I was still buying milk. Because I remember, like, it was really easy. This is before I really cooked. So, like, so cereal, right? Cereal's super easy. And so I guess I was still doing it in my adult life, but my very young adult life. It ended pretty quickly after that. Anyway.
The thing with milk for me, once I went off and I had to do my own shopping, is that milk, like, expires. So, like, the things that I would buy are things that didn't expire anytime soon. Because I will take so so long to go through food products because one, I forget they exist in the fridge, which apparently, okay, I need to see a doctor or something. This is an unrelated tangent, but TikTok sends me ADD videos all the time, all the goddamn time. And we've talked about TikTok's algorithm before. And I'm starting to realize all these people with ADHD keep talking about things that I like do too. And I'm like, do I have ADHD and don't know it? Because, like, I have no idea what's in the fridge till I open the door. And apparently that's an ADHD thing. Apparently, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of having an identity crisis. But that's why I don't buy milk, because it'll just expire.
That's a whole another thing to unpack another time, because I wish I forgot what was in my fridge, because I'll find myself digging through it at 11 p.m., not even hungry, going, okay, I know I got this in here. I want to eat this, right? So, yeah, that is interesting. You just forget it's in there. So I'm sure it's like a nice treat if you have something like you really like that you forgot you had, and you're like, oh, wow, I got this. This will be good.
Yeah,
like a little surprise.
My parents sent my brother and I home with this like loaf of like banana and like chocolate chip, and I don't remember what all it is. It's this bread or whatever. It's like dessert bread or whatever. And I forgot it existed, and I didn't have my first slice of it until it'd been in the fridge for 6 days already, because I just forgot it was in there. And I was like, I need to start eating this. I want to eat it, but I forgot it was there. Or I made a bunch of like coleslaw that sat in the fridge for a month, and it was just like, oh yeah, I forgot this is in a container here, because I had eaten most of it and forgot about the rest. And I'm like, I just keep these things, which maybe is a common thing, so maybe I'm overthinking it, but like I'll leave stuff in the fridge for way past their expiration. Or like orange juice. I've had like 3-week-old, like expired old orange juice, and I look at the expiration date. I'm like, oh, is this okay to drink? Good luck, body.
Well, you mentioned, I was going to say, like with the expiration, with nut milk lacks lactose. Nut milk lasts a pretty long time.
Okay. So maybe that's
like
the alternative.
Way longer than like milk does. So, and that's why every once in a while, very, not that often, but I will get that. And it's like, if you buy it, you'll have like, don't quote me on this, could be wrong, but it's like 6, 7, maybe even 8 weeks. It could be like a couple months before it like actually expires. So,
which is better because like, cow milk, usually by the time you buy it lasts like what, a week or something like that is usually how far out you get.
Not that long. Yeah.
So it's like if you don't drink a whole gallon of milk in like a week, which me by myself, I probably couldn't do because I just don't drink much milk anymore. But like, I guess if I shared it, then maybe it'd go through faster.
Man,
but
I'm going through these memories now because I remember that's actually, I think, the biggest reason at the time why I quit drinking milk, I guess in my early college years, is because it would always go bad. And I remember wishing that, okay, they got gallons, they've got half gallons.
Yeah.
And sometimes I got those like little like individual ones that you can buy. So like of like, you know, maybe, but I've always
like
wanted
cartons
like
of milk.
a quarter. Well, I know like at like, I'd go shopping at like Meijer, and I know like they always had like little like not like school cartons. They'd look like little like bottles, but they're like individual bottles you can just like take on the go, like just milk. And I didn't want that either because that wouldn't be enough at the time.
Right.
I wish they had like quarter sized. But I never found those. But that would have been like the perfect size because it would last me a couple sessions, whatever you want to call it.
A couple milking sessions.
And then well, that's another episode. But the milking sessions. I don't know. I just wish they had that. Maybe they do exist, but I never found it. So I just quit buying it.
Yeah, same with me.
I was going to say, though, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, same with me. It's just, it expires. I don't drink much of it anymore to like warrant getting a whole gallon at a time. So I just slowly didn't buy it anymore, which means I just kind of don't drink it anymore. Not lactose intolerant or anything. Can definitely drink milk. Totally cool with that, but I just don't buy any.
Well, it's funny because doesn't it feel like everybody kind of has a similar story? Like for the most part. Like I feel like a lot of people I talk to about milk, it's like, yeah, I used to drink it as a kid, but I don't anymore.
Well,
and
a lot of people develop some sort of intolerance to it, so that's that's part of it. But
yeah, fair. It definitely isn't in the forefront of the American family household like it used to be. They used to have the milkman, for God's sake.
Yeah.
A milkman would come. He'd bring you milk. That doesn't happen now. Maybe it happens somewhere, but not to the degree that I think it once was.
Well, it's
like you'd get your daily milk.
It's funny, though, because milk is still like a staple product for American households. What did I just read this? It's like...
Where?
Schools, actually. Which, again, talking about kids, right?
Oh, that makes sense.
Schools, right? Yeah. The USDA, I think, still, like, or somebody, there's like a lot, like it's required to be provided in schools.
Wow.
I'm trying to find the stat. I just read this somewhere.
I thought a lot of that had changed over the years. I didn't realize. I know because I know when we were coming up, it was, drink your milk, calcium. Yeah, it's good for your bones. It's they'd always tell you those things.
Yeah, in school,
I thought that kind of.
Well, yeah, there was the Got Milk campaign, but yeah, in school lunchrooms, milk is required to be served with every meal according to USDA nutrition standards. And this is important because, since this is the Milk Club, did you know we're actually currently in the cardboard cartons that you keep the milk in? There's a supply shortage of cartons, so actually there's a milk shortage in schools right now. Did you know?
It's the carton crisis.
Yeah, apparently there is a carton crisis, especially, I guess, in particular in New York right now. I'm reading an article where Senator Schumer is talking about this carton crisis and trying to figure all of that shenanigans out. But apparently there's a carton shortage.
Wow. I wouldn't have known, but hopefully we can catch back up and be okay. It's funny because I said I don't picture, because anyone I talk to, they're all like, I don't drink milk, but guess what? Everyone I'm talking to about it is also our age or older. So kids, totally different. Didn't even think about that. Because I know even up until our high school years, milk was in every meal if you wanted it. So chocolate or white milk.
The chocolate was the best stuff. Did you ever get the gallons of chocolate milk as a kid, just as a treat every now and again?
Yes, but I actually found more pleasure, maybe satisfaction out of making it myself.
Yeah.
With just the Hershey chocolate.
Because that was my follow-up question, because sometimes as a treat, we would get the gallon of already chocolate milk. But for the most part, if we wanted chocolate milk, we had usually the Nesquik powder that we would put into...
Oh, you did the powder
and stir it up with a spoon or whatever. Yeah. Did you do the Hershey syrup?
We did the syrup, and what I liked about that was that after you finished your glass, you had a little kind of syrupy residue at the bottom, and you had a little extra treat of chocolatey goodness. Weirdly, I don't know why we did.
Weirdly enough,
I was just going to say we did.
That was off-putting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I loved it. It's like a little extra treat. We also did, I will say, I guess I kind of lied, because I remember one or two times we actually had Ovaltine.
Oh, really?
Like the powdered Ovaltine in the house, which is kind of similar, right? It's chocolatey. I don't know if that's just a brand.
I've never actually had Ovaltine myself, so I can't really speak to its flavor or consistency, but
when we had the powder Ovaltine, I'll admit this, Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but I went in there and I just took spoonfuls of the powder and just ate that. I loved it. It was so good. Because it just became like fudge in your mouth. It was awesome. Ooh, I need to go to the store and buy some Ovaltine after this.
I don't know how I feel about that. Just a powder.
It's really dry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, this is the cinnamon challenge with a lot less pain. But it's just...
Exactly.
I was saying, it just feels like it'd be sticky. Just lip smacking, nyap, nyap, nyap.
Oh, but the flavor outweighs all. It's so yummy. Trying to think, but usually in school I didn't do milk at all, which is weird because I drank milk as a kid. Usually if I could, I would get water or orange juice or something kind of like that. And a lot of the time too, Mom would pack my lunch and I would just get a little mini bottle of water or whatever. And that's what I did. But usually my go-to at the school though would be chocolate milk. If I were to get milk, it'd be the chocolate milk.
Because
I'll never forget those little square cartons. I'll never forget.
Because that's what I always did that in school. Like, it was always milk. We'd like never. I so very rarely, to my memory, ever had packed lunches either. For the most part, it was almost always school lunches. I think in elementary school in particular, there were some school lunches that I didn't like my brother and I wouldn't like. So we'd get like a packed lunch on like those specific days where they had. I don't remember. The one that stands out in my brain was that there was like a hot bologna sandwich day or something. And I'm like, I just don't like bologna. So like on those days I'd have a packed lunch. And I don't remember what we drank in those packed lunches. I'll be honest with you.
Were you like a Sunny D family? We did Sunny D sometimes. That was always really good.
I don't remember that being a packed lunch item, but I did like Sunny D as a kid. I like orange juice now. I don't really buy Sunny D now, but like I liked Sunny D as a kid.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know. Actually, you know what's funny? I don't even know if we packed it in our lunches. I tied it together in my head for some reason, so maybe we did.
Well, because you can get them in the little bottles, so like, the little travel size, so like you can definitely do that. I don't remember. I think it was juice. I think it was the juice pouches. Like the pouches of juice you stick the straw in. I feel like that might have been more common.
Yeah.
In the packed lunch.
Wait, you mean like Capri Sun?
Yeah, like a Capri Sun.
Those were really good. I remember those.
I think maybe that was more common. Really good. But
I was gonna. What were you just talking about? You were talking about school lunches. I had something to add to that.
Well, I mentioned the hot bologna sandwich.
Oh yeah, the hot hammer. I was going to mention that. It's funny that once again our tastes differ so wildly with food because I loved that day. There was very few school lunches that I liked, but I remember loving the like hot ham and cheese sandwiches. Oh, so good.
Wait, you know what I think it might have been too? I think they used to put mayo on them. And I honestly think it was mostly the mayo I didn't like. Because I didn't like most sauces at the time. I was a ketchup kid, loved ketchup, but most other things I didn't like. Barbecue was fine too, but like mayo, no. Mustard, no.
Fair.
I think it was mayo.
Okay. Mayo is kind of something that's changed for me over the years. I went from liking it to disliking it to liking it again. So, but I like it to a degree. That my main memory with mayo now is when I used to eat McDonald's a lot back at that same age when I was drinking milk still, and I would always get the McChicken, and they always had a little bit of mayo on it.
Yeah,
I always thought that mayo was good.
Because I was a big chicken nugget.
Spicy,
I was a big chicken nugget kid, so I didn't have to. Because I love McChickens now or whatever, but like as a kid, it was always the chicken nuggets, so they didn't have mayo on chicken nuggets. I got my chicken nuggets and my ketchup.
Right. I was gonna say about the school lunches. I remembered it now. Isn't it wild to think that, like now, like as adults, we wake up every day, and we may not know what we're gonna eat yet, but when we were kids, we knew. I don't know how far in advance, at least a week, maybe a whole month. I don't know how far ahead it went, but it's like you knew what was for lunch days in advance.
Well, because they would put those calendars out, yeah.
It's just kind of weird to think that, like, this is what you're going to be eating today, right? And it's just kind of decided for you. Obviously, you can pack your lunch or whatever. It's just weird because there'll be days now where I'm like, I'm hungry, but I don't know what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah.
Back then it was, you either get this or your mom's going to pack you something. Those are your two choices. It's just kind of a weird thought that life is nothing like that now.
Well, I guess it's because you get to make your own, as an adult, you make your own decisions. So if you don't make the decision to make a plan in advance, then yeah, you just kind of decide on the seat of your pants what you're making or what you're going to go eat or whatever. The only exception being if you're
usually what I do.
Planning like maybe a big meal where you're like, okay, I got to set the chicken out to thaw and I'm going to make drumsticks tomorrow or whatever. So unless you're planning something one day in advance, but
lunches are usually smaller than dinners, right? At least for the most part. And that's where it's for me, especially now that I work, my day job's kind of a hybrid remote job. So when I'm remote, when I'm at home, I'm always working. Then I look at the clock and it's 12, 1, sometimes 2 o'clock. I'm like, oh crap, I got to eat something. I'm hungry. And then it's like, but then I'm rushing around trying to figure out what I want to, because I have to prepare something at least to a degree. Maybe nothing like a big chicken meal like you just said, but
sandwiches, man. Sandwiches are goated for lunch.
Yet we've talked about this. You're a big sandwich guy. You are. You love your sandwich. You do.
Well, you can put anything.
There's nothing wrong with it.
You can put anything on a sandwich, and bada bing, bada boom, you're good to go.
Oh, what did I do the other day that was... So I usually don't do bread or anything like that, but I did have some leftover bread from something, and I just took the bread, and I didn't want it to go to waste, so I ended up using it. Oh, that's right. So this is actually for a shout out to Camp Nostalgic. We were filming our Halloween special that'll be coming out next year, so stick around for that next Halloween.
Ooh.
And we bought some just like really cheap chili, like just in a can, like because we just needed it basically for a prop,
right?
But we had leftover, and so I thought, okay, I'm not going to eat this crappy cheap chili on its own, but I have an idea, and I ended up making chili. What else was in there? It was chili. I'm missing a core element, and forgive me.
Cheese?
Oh, no. I think it was just the chili, the cheese, and then what I did was I did it basically like a grilled cheese. So I kind of like threw each piece of bread on the skillet to like kind of brown it and put butter on it. And just these chili cheese sandwiches, like toasty sandwiches, and they were so dang good. And now that I think of it, now this might be gross, but this circles back to Milk Club. Since it is a Milk Club podcast,
Of course.
Growing up, I don't know about you, maybe this was a weird thing in my household, but there was 2 things that you needed to drink milk with as a kid.
Okay.
And it was chili. We always drank chili with milk. Or sorry, we drank milk with chili.
No, you had it right the first time.
Yep, we're drinking chili with my milk. And number 2 is spaghetti. Milk and spaghetti.
Ah.
Might sound weird, but so good. So I don't know if either of those. Well, I feel like the chili one's maybe kind of common. Maybe I'm making that up.
The thing is, like, I feel like that should be weird. Like, a part of me wants to be like, that's probably supposed to be weird. But, like, I'm the same way because growing up, we drank milk with everything. Literally everything. So it's like, I know it's not weird because I know I've done it. I've absolutely had chili, like my dad's chili in winter with milk. And spaghetti, well, that's not a winter thing specifically, but like, yeah, milk with spaghetti, whatever. Which is kind of funny to me because now, like, when I have pasta, I kind of want to have a soda. And I think that's because when I have pizza, I want to have a soda. I don't know when that started.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I know I've had pizza and milk. I know I've done that. But for some reason, something about pizza is like, oh, you're supposed to have pop with pizza, and that has slowly leached into like basically anytime I have any kind of pasta or Italian, it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to have soda.
It doesn't bleed that far out for me, but I do know with pizza I want something carbonated. It doesn't have to be pop for me because I don't really drink pop, but I do drink beer. So like beer,
yeah,
I still want to drink with pizza like that. And I don't know if that probably comes back from a time when I would always drink pop as a kid, and we'd always have pop and pizza. You know, whatever I would have. I know that the only reason why I remembered the chili and the milk thing is because my stepdad, shout out to Big Daddy, he is a grown man. He's, in his 50s, and he's the only grown person that I know older than us. Personally, I'm serious. I don't know anyone else, I think, that I know of that still drinks milk regularly with their meals, and he still does. So, or at least he prefers it. I'll put it that way. He prefers it. Sometimes there may not be milk in the fridge because I don't think my mom always gets it. But if they get it, he will be having it with his spaghetti and with his chili. So that's how I remembered. And he's like, we always made sure we all did it when we were kids, or like when you were kids, like doing the chili thing. That's how I remembered that because he reminded me of it. But so you're right. There's still milk drinkers out there.
Oh, for sure. I think my parents still buy milk because I think my dad still drinks it. I think because I know from time to time if they're going to go like on a trip or something, they'll say, "Oh, swing by the house, pick up this like gallon of milk. We're going to be gone. We're not going to drink it in time, so take it home or whatever."
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I've acquired milk that way, not super often. So I think they still buy milk. At least sometimes. I think they still drink milk, or my dad still drinks milk or something. Somebody over there, I think, still drinks milk.
It starts to make me wonder, because I've had this conversation so many times about I don't drink milk anymore. I'm starting to wonder if it's kind of like our age bracket.
It might be.
Who's just kind of like, this kind of, we're out of it. Maybe we'll circle back to it when we get older, maybe? I don't know.
Well, because we went through the
now I think about it.
We went through the got milk era. Did we get, like, milked out? Like, we got over milked?
Did we get milked? Did we got milked? Maybe we did.
Because this is actually... Oh, do you have a story?
No, please.
Okay.
I can.
There's an interesting new marketing campaign. So we remember Got Milk, and Got Milk still like vaguely exists. But there's a new campaign, and this is relatively new news. Like Queen Latifah has a like anti-milk shaming campaign right now. I think it's not just her. I think this milk pep agency, right? It's in charge of this milk campaign. Like the people that did the Got Milk or whatever.
Okay.
And so Queen Latifah's got this new video that came out just the other day. That's like anti-milk shaming. Like if you like, we need to be proud of drinking milk, and like if you're getting bullied for being a milk drinker, we need to like change the mindset. So I think it's the phrase that they're using, like the hashtag is okay to milk, like okay, and then the number 2 milk is their whole campaign.
Right.
So and I bring this up because apparently the whole campaign now is that if you feel ashamed to be a milk drinker because people look down on milk drinkers, you don't need to be ashamed anymore. You can stand up for your milk. And it's kind of like a satirical advertisement a little bit. Like there's a bit in the video where they're like interviewing this actor, this guy. He's just like, yeah, I was on this date with this girl and it was going really great. And when it came time to get dessert, I ordered milk with my like chocolate lava cake or whatever. And she was so upset. She walked out on the date and then she came back and threw the milk in my face. It's a whole thing. It's a skit. Right. It's a sketch. It's supposed to be humorous. But the concept is that people who drink milk get bullied. And if you drink milk, you shouldn't be ashamed. Which is such an opposite thing that we grew up with. Like, we grew up with, you got to drink milk to be healthy. Yeah. Now it's like, don't be afraid to drink milk just because other people think it's weird.
I wonder, I guess with anything, the shift just slowly happens. I don't know what it is. And I also, it's clearly popular enough to say you don't drink milk anymore, or else that would have never been made. I mean, a big celebrity like that, regardless of its satirical nature, right?
Right.
That is such an interesting thing. Because I'll be honest with you, at first when you talked about, like, if you're being bullied for liking milk, and I was taking it completely at face value and very seriously, I thought, is that what kids are doing now? Like kids, like, because bullies have always existed.
Right.
Like, are they actually getting on other students for drinking milk? Like, oh, you drink milk. Like, I wouldn't put it past it. But wild. Yeah, I don't know. I remember, I mean, I guess that kind of happens with a lot of things, though. I mean, not to the same exact degree necessarily, but we all know, like, this is kind of pretty common history now. But, like, cigarettes, when they were first advertised, they were advertised and they pushed, quote unquote, the health benefits they provided to you, or the benefits, you know what I mean? And like back in the 50s, and that quickly went away. But to get people onto cigarettes, and I just think it's kind of interesting now. People still smoke, but everybody realizes how bad they are for you, and they've also changed how they're made over the years, of course, too. But
right.
And then also the popularity of them has also completely like dipped down. There's a lot less people now who smoke than there used to be. They're still there, but I just think it's interesting. It's kind of a similar thing but in a much lesser time, because milk was popular with us literally just 15, maybe 20 years ago. And, like cigarettes were still really huge about 20 years ago. So it's just interesting for that comparison. Maybe we should do cigarettes and milk.
I don't think
maybe that's the combo we're missing.
When I wake up in the morning, I like to have a tall glass of milk and a fat cigar.
Could you imagine just dipping his cigar in the milk? That's so gross. And every time he does it, it like goes out. Dang it. He lights it again.
God bless it.
Oh, that's so gross. This is ashy milk. Ugh. That's so gross.
Well, and it's weird because, like, I know with just the interesting comparison between like cigarettes and milk, right? There used to be a lot of branding for cigarettes, and it came out more and more and more and more that cigarettes were terrible for you. And over the years, there's been a lot of, I've seen this, a lot of question put into place about milk during the Got Milk campaign. Was really promoting that calcium thing, strong bones, blah, blah, blah. And there's actually been in more recent years, like in the last 10, 15 years, that yes, there's calcium in milk, but its actual effect on bone strength and how much of your body actually absorbs it from milk isn't as high as most people are actually led to believe based on those campaigns. That's what I've seen. Now, I'm not a scientist here. I didn't really deep dive this, but I have seen myself in more recent years that there's actually a pushback about whether or not those campaigns have been misleading in the past, that they don't do as much for your bones and health as you're led to believe. Not to say it's bad for you like cigarettes are. Milk is not killing you like cigarettes are.
That actually leads to a bigger conversation about, like, back to the schools. Because we actually touched on this in one of our 2Ps episodes a little while back. Shout out to the 2Ps podcast. We did an episode about school lunches and about how, at least based on what we know nutritionally now about the things that we consume, how out of date parts of the regulations for school lunches are. And like there's been there's been some obvious pushes, especially during like the Michelle Obama, like she was a big advocate for a lot of like getting better food in schools and stuff.
Yeah.
But in general, once again, like there's a lot of this research because I know about that, like with the milk and stuff and the pushback on that. And yet, as of now, 2023, granted, we're not saying that milk's going to kill you, but it's just interesting that still hasn't been changed. That's a requirement. When in reality, if anything, I think it's safe to assume that water's going to be just fine. And in a lot of ways, you need water a lot more than you're going to need milk. So it's just interesting that, and I know that, water is available to some degree. I don't know. I just think that's interesting. I think there could be some based on. I don't have all the details in front of me. I would encourage anyone to go listen to that episode because I kind of get into it more. But there are a lot of outdated kind of regulations. We've learned a lot more about the things we consume just in the last 30 years that haven't really been changed with school lunches, which is just kind of an interesting thing to point out.
Which is, and that's around school lunch, which I think school lunches are where kids probably have the most frequent exposure to milk. Because I do want to bring up another weird aspect of this like milk bullying a little bit, where it also became popular. I don't know if you've seen this. I know it's popped up on my timelines and stuff in the past few years as well, that there's a weird pushback against milk, that humans are the only creature that takes milk from another animal and drinks it regularly. You know, humans drink cow milk, whereas, you know, it's meant for baby cows. And there's this massive pushback against that, which, by the way, isn't true. Lots of other animals have actually adopted baby, like other species, and been milked. Like that does happen in nature. Like a goat will adopt a cat or something, and a cat will drink goat milk. Like that absolutely does happen in nature. So the whole pushback that like humans are this weird thing. I mean, yeah, we're weird, but like saying it's unnatural is crazy. But the point that I'm trying to say is that there has been that pushback that like humans shouldn't be drinking milk because we're not naturally supposed to. So like you said, water does just fine, which like we can drink like water is by far the thing. We need water. If you don't get enough water, you die. Right. So like, we need water, but there was a weird pushback too that like milk was bad or unnatural. That isn't strictly true.
And that's exactly what it is. What this boils down to, kind of broader things. It's not because it's not black or white. You know, I don't know everything that goes into milk, and you know, there's obviously different effects or like nutritional value or benefits that are going to happen if you drink milk that's been completely processed versus not. Right? You know, and you know, I mean, it kind of goes on and on. I don't know. You hear that in other ways, too. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, we'll compare ourselves to other animals.
Right.
In certain ways. I'm trying to think of another example. I can't think of one. But I have definitely heard that before. You know, I don't know enough about milk to really say it, but I know in my personal decision-making, I thought, you know what? It's not really doing anything for me. I get the nutrients that milk may do have in other things I consume anyway. I'm not going to drink it anymore. Whatever. Like, I do know that there was also, for a while, milk was involved in this, among other things, especially probably once again around the same time all of this pushback started happening 15 years ago or whatever, is other things they put in milk, like hormones and all that stuff. And I know for a while there was a pretty big push against that too. It's like, you know why kids are so much bigger now than they were 40 years ago? It's because of all the hormones they're putting in milk and the hormones they're putting in other dairy products and meats and, all that. I remember milk was a part of that too. I don't know if you came across any of that, but that was a big thing too, like the other things they put in it besides what milk entails.
I haven't seen that recently, but I do remember specific, like not stuff in milk specifically, but I do remember seeing a lot of stuff about like things that you put in cows specifically, because that was the other thing too, hormones, and then a lot of the antibiotics and stuff that people put into cows. A lot of that is also just to do with like cows that are raised for beef more than milk, but either way, like whatever part of the animal you're consuming, whether you're eating the cow or whether or not you're drinking the milk, is that the stuff you feed the cow and what you give the cow for antibiotics is not necessarily great for people. So I remember that being a big thing as well, which is why there's now a push to like avoid like feeding cows like low quality feed, avoiding like super hormoning them and super like all these chemicals that we were pumping into cows. There became a movement to like more organically treat livestock essentially.
Yeah, that bleeds over too into other animals, right? Obviously, that's a big thing with chickens, these days. About how are chickens fed? Are they fed what chickens just eat naturally? Are they fed bits and pieces of eggs? That's one thing. That's are they completely free range? Whatever it is, there's different. That's gotta be so. I'm blessed to live close enough to my parents who have chickens, and I just get eggs straight from the chickens, which is awesome.
Right.
But like if you go to the grocery store, and this is what most people do, they see so many. I'm sticking with eggs, for example, because it's a great example. So the word organic and the word natural, those words aren't regular. What's a good word?
They're not regulated.
There's not one meaning for the word organic. Regulated. So people will go in there and maybe they want to make the most healthy, informed decision, but then they'll see cage-free eggs, they'll see organic eggs, they'll see natural eggs, they'll see. It's like not what's it all mean, like that. I get kind of passionate about that, but I know because I do kind of I get concerned about what I put in my body, and it can be tough to. It takes a lot of actual research outside of the grocery store to really know what you're getting, and it's just kind of wild to think about. But anyway, that just kind of bleeds over to the chicken thing too,
which is
like what they're eating.
Probably why you're going to live longer than me, because I'll put anything in my body. You
always
is it
say
cheap? Can I eat it?
I got an iron gullet. I'll eat anything. No, it's who knows? Maybe I got the little like sensitive wussy belly, can't take anything. Remember when we both got it was when you came down here last summer, super fun trip, and we went to the store. Maybe I already bought them before you came, but I bought these like kettle chips. They're like jalapeno cheddar kettle chips.
Sure.
And we were doing a couple like let's plays just on your channel.
Yeah.
And we were just slamming through those in between episodes. And I remember a day went by, like you left the next day, I think. And I remember like that evening, I had to go to the bathroom. I'll keep it clean, but it was really bad. And like Taco Bell bad. And I remember texting you going, did these get to you at all? And you're like, nope, I just enjoyed those chips and that was it. It's like, wow. I was very impressed because that tore me up. And the reason why I was impressed is because I discovered a website. Sorry, this isn't about milk, but I think
that's okay.
There is a dedicated website because for some reason when I have something happen to me, I think along with a lot of people, I like to feel validated and not alone. And there's this website you can go to. I can't think what the title of it is, but you plug in any brand of chips or any brand of snack or any really kind of food, and it'll tell you anyone who's gave their submission entry about how it tore their stomach up. Careful, these will do this. Like, careful, sugar-free gummy bears basically act as a laxative, for example, right? So that's a pretty common one. And I looked up these kettle chips, and it was on there going, listen, guys, careful with these like spicy kettle jalapeno cheddar chips. They will tear you up. And I'm like, yeah, me too. So then I messaged Weston, and he's like, no.
Well, like that,
just fine.
That sounds like such a website where people that don't have that problem aren't going to that website. So like that's just a website for people that are predisposed to have problems, and they just list them there. So you know what I mean?
Sure. I know it's not like maybe the general population feels that way. I totally understand that, but it worked for me because I felt validated, and then I thought you had a crazy iron stomach, just like you always say. So
I don't think I've ever had a spicy.
I got to give you fault there.
A spicy chip give me any trouble. I mean, I've had spicy food give me trouble.
Me neither.
I don't think a chip has ever given me trouble before.
Me neither. That's the weird thing. But I thought about this. Speaking of getting sick, remember the milk challenge?
Which one was the milk? I remember I don't remember what it was. It was like a milk prank. This was years ago, where people were going to like Walmarts and grocery stores and just like pretending to buy milk, and they'd carry around like 4 gallons of milk in their hands and like fake slip. I mean, they'd slip, but they'd intentionally slip, eat it, toss jugs, and just splash milk everywhere. Were you with me?
Yes.
We went on a Black Friday where we saw it happen in person, I think in a Walmart or something.
No, I actually was working. So okay. I was not, but I remember you guys talking about that. I vividly remember you guys talking about that. That's wild.
Yeah, that was like in the before days, before the COVID, where everyone was just coming up with, because it feels like this led up all the way to, because speaking of dairy products, right before COVID happened, there was that other prank where people were like licking ice cream, and then COVID happened. It's like, well, this is why COVID happened. Y'all disgusting. But
yeah. Well, they also were like putting they would like put like the ice cream like on their forehead and drive away, or they would do all kinds of weird things with ice cream.
It was for everyone listening at home that isn't familiar, this is like stuff you would do in the store before you'd buy it. Like you would open up a carton of like ice cream, lick it, and put it back or something. And it's like, what the?
Oh,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, that I do remember that, which I think is just disgusting. I was going to say, but there was also people who would go through the drive-thru at like a Dairy Queen or any place that serves ice cream, and then they would like order the ice cream, film it, and just put the ice cream on their forehead like a unicorn. Just let it go to waste. They already bought it, right? And then they just drive away.
At least that one's harmless.
Speechless.
Like you make a mess maybe in your own car, but it's your own car. So at least that one's harmless. But
well, there was a turning point for me with the milk jug thing, and then I'll go back to the milk challenge. Yeah. It's that when they were doing that, like it'd be like these teenagers or these like young adults, and they were like, they'd run in there, they'd pretend to slip, milk would get everywhere. That was a turning point for me in my life where I started to think, what is wrong with like kids these days?
Right.
Like, and it was any age. I'm sure it was like older people, maybe it's people closer to our age too. But that was the first time I started to think that. Like, what is wrong with these people?
This is like before
I thought, that's funny, but no.
This is before Tide Pod Challenge happened, and then we really had to question.
And then, yep. I don't know if you remember hearing about this, but when the Switch came out,
oh yeah, the cartridges,
people were, like licking cartridges because they tasted like spicy or something. That's so weird. Why are you doing that?
Because it came out that apparently Nintendo or whoever makes the cartridges laced the cartridges with a chemical that was supposed to make them like bitter, so that if the idea was if itty bitty children, like a 2-year-old, got a hold of cartridge, they wouldn't try to eat it, right? So it tastes really bitter and terrible. So tiny infants would spit them out. Well, that got out apparently, and then you had that like bit where teenagers and young adults were like licking cartridges for the for the views and for the memes. God. Which I guess that one's kind of semi harmless too, because it's like, well, if you ruin the cartridge, you're ruining your own cartridge, but.
Yeah, it might be harmless, but it doesn't make it any less strange.
It's
like if
silly.
You know they do it, like do you really need to do it? But I was going to say the milk challenge. This is the Milk Club after all, Weston.
Yes, this is.
The milk challenge was where people would literally just film it. This is a milk challenge. All right. I don't know if they nominated other people to do it too. I don't think it was like the ice bucket challenge, but what they would do is this is during the challenge era. This is cinnamon challenge and all that stuff. So you would take a gallon of milk and you have to chug it all without vomiting.
Oh, that's a lot of milk.
This was a big one.
In one go.
That's a gallon of milk. And there's actually, I don't know if he'd want this getting out, but there is a mutual friend of ours. Actually, might still be on YouTube. You might still be able to find it. Who's done it? And
really?
I don't think it was successful. I'll shoot you the name after because I don't know if he wants that particular thing getting out. But he did do it, and it was unsuccessful. I'm pretty sure he did it with a couple friends. And point is, most that I saw ended up with people vomiting. So I kind of jumped off that bandwagon pretty quick. I wasn't really a fan of that, people vomiting. But yeah, that was one. Because drinking a gallon of anything that quickly, especially if your body's not prepared for it, I'm not going to be surprised if there's some sort of rejection. I mean,
right.
at that rate, but like, God, milk? It's so much heavier than like water would be or something.
It's heavy.
Or like,
it's a lot. And then also like milk is basic and your stomach acid is, acidic. So there's probably something chemically happening there too. That's probably not great.
Yeah. But so anyway, that being said, everybody, to end our the Milk Club episode today, what we're going to do is we're going to do the milk challenge right here on the pod.
Yep, for sure.
And Weston's probably going to be just fine, and my little sissy belly is gonna reject it.
I wonder how much milk I could drink in one sitting before my gut says, "What are we doing? What is happening?"
Would you be willing to try that at one point?
I can guarantee I'm not getting through a gallon. Like, I'm asking openly. I wonder how much I could drink, but I'm sure it's not an entire gallon. That's a lot of milk in one sitting, in one go.
Yeah, it is.
I thought
of another milk
I would
thing.
down, like, if you gave me like a tall, massive glass of milk, I would shotgun. It wouldn't be shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
I would like down a whole like glass of milk, but
that's definitely doable. Did you ever, or well, I guess you don't really drink milk now either. So, but when you were a kid, were you a fan of like dipping things in milk, like cookies and everything like that?
No, weirdly. I know everyone like dips their Oreos in milk, and I've definitely done it, but like I never felt like dipping cookies and stuff in milk added to the experience. But also, I like crunchy things, so I like my cookies. I like my cookies crunchy, so that's probably part of it.
Okay, that's fair. I like things not crunchy, so I used to get the vanilla wafers, right? Is that what they're called?
Vanilla wafers?
And I would, but like the vanilla wafer. What is it? Is it Manila?
There's no, Manila is the envelopes, right? The Manila envelopes. Are the Nilla?
Oh, that's what that word is. I knew that word was a real word.
The Nilla wafers are the little like round like orange disc type things.
Nilla.
If that's it.
Yeah, those things. I used to always dip those, and then those Biscoff cookies, I would dip those in there. Now I dip those in coffee. I do recommend that. Dipping Biscoff cookies in like your coffee's good, and then it adds, because I know you drink it black too. It adds just a little bit of this little sweet at the end there, because it got a couple little like cookie crunchies in there. But that might be gross to you if there's a couple cookie floaties. But
that doesn't bother me. But like the floaties in my coffee wouldn't add anything. Like that wouldn't make it better. But I understand that, like, well, I'm dipping the Nilla wafer into my coffee or the Biscoff cookie into my coffee because it makes the coffee sweeter. So what you're trying to do is add something to the coffee instead of the coffee adding something to the cookie. And I can understand that.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I remember, I don't think I did it, but I remember it was really popular to like dip your Oreos in milk.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big one too. And then just, I guess, any cookie, probably even just like chocolate chip, like a fresh chocolate chip. That sounds good. I don't think I ever actually did this, believe it or not, but I feel like a fresh chocolate chip cookie right out of the oven dipped into milk would be really good.
Dipped into your...
Not fresh out. Let it harden a little bit. But
oh, yeah, you get your fresh cookie. You got to let it cool enough to actually be able to handle the cookie. And then you dip it into your hot cocoa, now that it's hot cocoa season, with the marshmallows and your hot cocoa. Have cookies and hot cocoa.
That sounds good.
That's the Santa Claus way to do it, since we're coming up into that season now.
Speaking of that, I know usually the only time I'm going into the section of the store that has milk, it's only this time of the year, and I think you probably know why. It's because I am an unapologetic lover of eggnog.
Oh, that's right.
So
I forgot about that.
So I will run there. I mean, in fact, I'm actually going to be running probably to the store when we're done doing this, and I'm going to go get my first, as of the time of recording this, my first bottle for the season.
First eggnog of the season.
The thing is...
Eggnog's so gross, though.
It's actually... I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It's so
it's
good.
So gross.
It's... Steph makes... Or she has. She doesn't every year. I want her to every year because I love when she makes things because it's always yummy. But she makes eggnog, like her own eggnog. And it is not quite as good as Prairie Farms. I told her that to her face. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Okay, if she's already heard this.
It's too thin.
I didn't want her to first time be hearing this beyond this podcast.
Dude, Weston, you act like you don't know me. I say things I shouldn't say to everybody I know, including the ones I love.
Okay, fair enough.
So anyway, I did... Yeah, so I did tell her that, and she obviously says, no, this is the best, and it's really delicious, but it's a little too thin. I like eggnog because it's thicker than milk, at least 2% that I'm used to. In general, I wouldn't like that in milk. I feel like whole milk, assuming it's thicker, I probably wouldn't like, but with eggnog, mwah. But I have a complaint, and that is it is so difficult now. At least unless you're in a Walmart, which I don't really go to Walmart very much. But Prairie Farms, pretty big name, don't you think?
Yeah.
Right? Milk, right? Anybody else?
It's a big name.
They used to their eggnog is the best eggnog in the history of mankind. And I don't care who you are, it just is, right? I'm making my bold claims, but I have to. They don't have those in like other stores. They have their holiday nog, which isn't the same. It's not just changing a name. It's a different, it's called holiday custard is what it's called.
Oh.
Not the same thing. And no, there's other brands who make holiday nog, which is eggnog, but I want Prairie Farms eggnog. And you can still get Prairie Farms eggnog, but you got to go to Walmart. The Walmart's far away from my house, at least from where I live. I don't want to go all the way over there and get it. But that's where I'm going to go after this. We go get my eggnog. Because I want it. I'm craving it now.
They must be...
But, yeah, I knew...
They must be, like, changing up their recipes for, like, because everything is getting so expensive now, maybe? Like, remaking their recipes, so that's why it's not as good. They're not using the real eggs or something.
I'm going to be an old man going, they don't make eggnog like they used to.
Back in my day, eggnog was made out of eggnog, not custard.
It was just eggs and a little bit of nog. I do want her to show me how to make it, though, because I would make it on my own. I don't know necessarily what you would need to make it thicker. I don't know if you'd use... I know about cooking. I don't know about baking, so I don't really know. But I need to figure that out, and then...
Well, yeah, I imagine, like, just add some kind of thickening agent in there. Like, find out what her recipe is, and then, like, just add more of something.
I know usually milk makes things thicker. Like I know that one thing I do cook with milk, and it's the time of the year, is my I always make vegetable chowder, and it's one of the few like winter only kind of meals I make, and that uses a lot of milk. So that's one of the few times a year I'll still buy milk is for that. And then, of course, I throw a bunch of cheese in there, too. I mean, it's Dairy City. It's delicious. But, yeah, I don't really do chowders, but I do vegetable chowder. That's really yummy. But honestly, I think what makes that thick, though, is the flour. There's a lot of flour in that,
yeah,
too.
That would do
that
it.
Definitely helps with the thickness.
Just throw some flour in your eggnog.
But I don't think there's any flour in eggnog.
Just after Stephanie makes her eggnog, you take a glass and just throw in some flour and give it a stir. Bada bing, you're good to go.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I don't see how that could go wrong. That sounds perfectly fine to me.
Well, if we ever do like a video in person for Profoundish, we can make our own. You know, it would be actually a fun segment idea.
Yeah.
Not a segment, but like an actual like video would be like, we are not allowed to do any research. We have all of the resources we need in the kitchen for this, all the ingredients. We have to make eggnog or make some sort of drink or something or soup or whatever it is, but just based on our prior knowledge and just see how we do. Oh, like everything is at our disposal, but we don't know what's what and there's extra ingredients.
Oh, it would just be a disaster. I don't have any cooking sense at all.
Right. Listen to our cooking episode, everybody. I learned that on that episode. Well, I have some, and I think we can just put our heads together and we could probably come up with something that's maybe somewhat there. I think we could. I don't know.
I'm going to crack a bunch of eggs, put it in a glass, whisk it, and say, there you go. That's my eggnog. Oh, yeah, and some milk.
That sounds like something... Well, just do the eggs, because it sounds like something some old Farmer Joe used to do that. Every morning I'd get up and I'd drink 2 eggs.
No, that was...
Seems like an old farmer thing.
That was Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, you're right.
Every morning I'd eat 3 dozen eggs, or however the song goes.
Gaston.
Well, Alex.
Yeah, he's a milk drinker.
I'll tell you what. I bet you didn't know we could do a whole episode about milk.
I cannot believe we just did a whole episode about milk. But we kind of actually did, though.
We kind of actually did do an entire episode about milk.
Can you give everybody like a sneak peek of what's to come on our next one? Like, what's the next podcast name that we came up with?
Shoot.
Do you have that at your disposal?
I don't remember what it is. Give me a second.
Okay. Because there's one in particular that I know you and I are both very excited for. But I don't know if that's the next one or not. But I think we could probably continue this. I like this trend idea actually a lot.
I almost have it.
I'm thinking, because I know we had booger balls. Obviously, we had flagpole pig. There had to have been 2 or 1 or 2 more. But I can't remember what else there was. Wasn't there one about like...
Oh, the next one is rabbit wood.
Or something? Oh, wow.
You were really close.
So what... Okay, rabbit wood. So we'll leave it at that. We'll figure out what that was all about after. And maybe, who knows, maybe we can... Maybe that'll be our next episode, or Weston's next episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Because I have to listen back to that little bit of the podcast and find out exactly what we talked about. It sounds like it's outdoorsy.
I'm so excited. This is a great exercise. I kind of like this just as an exercise for you and me to kind of try and stay on topic for something very specific. So I like that aspect of it. It's fun.
It's like very specific. Well, we had a few weeks where we were kind of a little lackadaisical about staying on topic, which is fine because we're doing a podcast. We can talk. But now we have to have a topic. Now we're honing it in.
Yeah.
Now we're challenging ourselves to like get back to our roots, have a topic, stay on task.
I love it. I love this so much. So I hope we do Rabbit Wood or at least one of these other ones coming up. I completely encourage you to continue this trend.
I will continue this trend. I don't remember how many podcasts we came up with. So buckle in, everybody. We're going to be in for it. This is the
every other podcast is going to be this now.
This is the new
at least for a while.
Never Have I Ever arc for the next while.
Yes. I have fond memories of that. Every week it's like, okay, here we go again.
Here we go. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for listening to Profoundish. You can follow us on our social stuff: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Patty Whack, Give a Dog a Bone, TikTok at Profoundish Pod. Of course, you've been listening to us, Profoundish, on whatever platform you're listening to. We're on several. Alex, where can we find you?
The best place you can find me is alexduquette.net. I do music, and I also make medleys. And I also make video game soundtrack retrospectives on YouTube. So you can check all the links out actually directly on my website. I do want to give a little shout out to my latest medley, because I think this will be out right around the time this episode comes out. It's it's a Christmas specials medley. So any animated Christmas special. So you know the ones, right? Your Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph, what else? All of them. What's the kind of spooky one?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
I never really got into it that much. Night Before Christmas, that's on there. All these classic Christmas songs are in this medley, so go check it out. And it is kind of that time of the season, so go enjoy that. What about you, Weston?
You can find me. I've got a website, westonhasty.com. I've got lots of stuff there you can check out. It's a landing page for the things that I do. If you're into video games, I specifically do a bunch of content over on YouTube on the channel called Magic Man Mo, where I stream and play games and stuff. Come hang out with me. Come say hi to me on Twitter at Weston Hasty. Yeah, that's what I want to just leave it at that. And once again, thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a rating and share this with a friend or two, or maybe your mom.
Yes.
And until next time.
Please, your mom.
Specifically your mom.
Remember, or specifically your mom, but remember how we're going to close this out, Wes?
Oh, yeah.
We talked about this. Okay.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening. All right.